hell of a lot of smoke. And I saw flames a few minutes later coming out of the middle section, out of that the emergency door over the wing that they used.
Where did the fire start?
Somewhere in the back, in the one of the washrooms in back. I was sitting in back and smelled something, and just before I was going to call the purser over, one of the stewardesses said, "There's something going on in back," and asked everybody to move up to the front, and that was when we realized there was something going on. But before the stewardess really said anything, I could smell that something wasn't right. It smelled like melting plastic or rubber.
What happened after the stewardess asked you to get up and move to the front of the plane?
That's exactly what everybody did. They just got up, filled in all the seats. I went back to my original seat, which was in the very first row. And everybody just filled up the seats. They tried to, the purser and the co-pilot tried to put out the fire with a fire extinguisher. They told us that everything was okay, that it was under control, and then when the purser came up to the front and grabbed another fire extinguisher, I realized that it wasn't exactly as they said it was. But everybody was very calm, just sitting there doing what they were told to do. The stewardesses gave us instructions and handed out some wet towels to cover our faces with, and we just sat there and waited to see what would happen.
Did you have any problem breathing?
It was thick. I was right in the front. I didn't have as much problem as a lot of other people. After we landed, when I was waiting for the door to be opened, as soon as we landed and the plane came to a stop, I jumped up. One of the stewardesses asked me, because I was sitting in front, to just try to hold the bulkhead so that people wouldn't push through and keep them from the time they needed to give free time to open the door. And I was just standing there, and this huge black cloud came over and covered my glasses. And at that point, I started wondering whether they were going to get the door open. But it couldn't have been more than 30 seconds to a minute.
During that 30 seconds to a minute, what were the people doing? Were they pushing, shoving?
No, that was the incredible thing. I was standing there expecting people to be pushing, trying to get through, and there wasn't anything. That's why I got the feeling that a lot of the people who didn't get out were already asphyxiated by the time we came to a complete landing and got the doors open.
Once you got out of the plane, what happened?
We just walked over to the edge of the tarmac and stood around and trying to figure out what was going on, what happened. It wasn't until a couple of minutes later, when we were all out, that anybody realized that there weren't nearly as many people on the ground as there were in the plane originally. I don't think anybody realized the extent of the deaths until a few minutes after those of us who got out were out.
And your reaction once you found out?
Shock. I was just stunned. Happy that I wasn't one of them.
No doubt in my mind that one more minute and nobody would have got out. I think we were that close. And the ones who did get out, it was just by virtue of we just were lucky. We were lucky. They got the plane down. They got it down as fast as they did, and we were playing lucky.
I remember not being able to see and barely being able to breathe, and my husband telling me to remain calm and to take very small, short breaths. It was somewhat of a panicky feeling, and hit the ground and came to a quick stop, and my husband lifted the emergency door that we were sitting right next to, and we crawled out onto the wing and tried thinking that we were going to have some fresh air to breathe, and shortly after that the whole wing and that side of the plane was engulfed in smoke. We turned and looked at the door that we had just come out of, and flames licked out of that door, and my thought was that there would be rescue workers there to get us off of the wing, because there was a feeling of not knowing how far we were to the ground, and it became more and more difficult to see beyond the wing or breathe even on the wing. And so my husband jumped to the ground, which wasn't dangerously far away, and helped me to the ground, and then helped the others who had come out of that same door.
Did it all seem real to you?
Yeah, it seemed very real. At that time, it was very real. Now it doesn't seem very real. And to look at the picture in the paper and to see it on the news, it's the same feeling as I guess most people have at home when they see it on the TV. It happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me, and what a tragedy it is.
When the smoke was coming into the plane, did you feel a sense of panic? What went through your mind? You took short breaths. What were you thinking? I got to make this. What were you thinking to yourself?
It was a panicky feeling, and I thought, this is what it feels like to, I don't know what the word is, to possibly die of lack of oxygen. Though I remained hopeful and tried to stay very calm, because I knew that that was the only way I was going to survive. I did get panicky and tried to breathe through my mouth and get a lot of oxygen, tried to get a lot of oxygen, and it made me gag. And so that's when my husband said, please stay calm. And I knew the only way I was going to survive was to remain calm.